types of sources, the right source for your topic. We've looked at topics and at the type of information you can find on the internet. We've identified a subject and narrowed it down to the topic and thesis level. Now we need to figure out the types of sources you need for your topic. Knowing the different types of sources available and what they cover will help you decide on the best sources for your topic. Information comes in all shapes and sizes. You can find information on a billboard, on television, you name it. For the purposes of this class, we are going to focus on 3 formats: books, periodicals, and websites. All of the sources we discuss will be available in these formats. We will talk in general about these formats and what they include, and how they are delivered later on. Now, let's look at the types of sources available. Sources can be current or historical. Current sources are usually best if they are no more than 5 years old. Some topics may necessitate even newer sources. When doing historical research, on the other hand, the age of the source is not relevant. Sometimes the older the source, the better. Say a teacher assigns a paper on the White House. The students can decide how to narrow a topic. Student A might decide to write his paper on the White House through the ages, while student B will write his paper on the White House today. Each student will use books, periodicals, and websites, but the first student will use older sources that detail the evolution of the White House, while the second student will use sources written since the last election. Another source type common to research is the primary source. Most topics will have some kind of primary source. A primary source comes first. When doing research, it is more reliable to use primary sources when available. Secondary sources are created as a result of the primary source. They are usually intended to critique, analyze, or examine the primary source. Scholarly sources versus popular sources differ in their main purpose and in other specific characteristics. Whether these sources are on the internet or in periodicals, their usefulness for a particular project will depend mainly on the topic and on assignment requirements. We will talk more about scholarly versus popular sources when we talk about periodicals. Okay, so remember the formats we talked about before? Let's look at them more in depth. Books are usually published only once. Some are updated at regular intervals, but publishing and updating take time. An edition of any book is probably 2 to 3 years old when it hits the shelves. Books are accessible through many different mediums or delivery methods. You can access books in audio format, online, or in print. Periodicals are published at regular intervals. Examples include magazines, newspapers, and scholarly journals. Magazines and newspapers are usually popular press publications, and scholarly journals are a type of scholarly source. We will discuss scholarly and popular periodicals later on in this module. One of the most confusing concepts for students to grasp is the idea that not everything on the web is a website. The web is primarily a medium of publication, a delivery format. Original web content is material created specifically for publication on the internet. It is created for and delivered through the internet. So when your instructors say that you can't use websites, they don't mean that you can't find a magazine article or book on the web and use it for your research. They mean that you can't use original web content. Let's talk about mediums of publication using a simple example: money. You remember my friend James, right? Well, a few months ago, his iPod died, and he's been saving up to buy a new one. He was $20 short, so we worked out a deal. I hate cleaning my office, so I offered him $20 to clean it for me. Now, when I give him the $20, I can pay him in several ways. I can give him cash, write him a check, or electronically deposit the money into his bank account. Whichever way I choose to pay him, the end result is the same. he gets his money and his new iPod. So like the money is always money, a book or an article that you find on the internet does not miraculously transform into a website just because it's delivered through the web. So therefore, no matter what medium is used to publish a source, the original format remains. Books can be in audio form, but they can also be published electronically. Remember, a book is a book and an article is an article, no matter where it's published. Here is a magazine article example. The article in question is about the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico and appeared in the July 19th issue of Time magazine. It's available through the magazine itself, on the magazine's website, and through a library database available on the web. Here is the article from the paper magazine. The first sentence of the article is highlighted. We've written out the text on the right. Here is the same article on Time's website. Again, the same first sentence is highlighted. In this instance, there is additional content on the website. This content is also from a magazine because the original source is a magazine. And finally, here is a library database version of the article. While you saw the article in 3 different mediums of publication or delivery methods, it did not change from one to the other. It stayed a magazine article. Next, let's move on to learn more about scholarly versus popular press periodicals.